So here's something pretty interesting. This game right here, Final Fantasy VII, on this exact day 25 years ago, released in Japan. Let that sink in for some of you out there. Yeah, it is pretty hard to believe that this game here, Final Fantasy VII, turned 25 years old as of today, at least when it was released in Japan, that is. In the States, I know it came out much later in September, I think it was, but gosh, that's pretty insane to believe. This game was quite groundbreaking when it first came out. For a lot of people back then, this was our first exposure to like RPGs, mostly for console players, that is. If you were playing on PC back then, you have played like other games, say like Ultima, for example, but for the majority of the market out there, they have like never played an RPG game until Final Fantasy came out. And it's really interesting looking back for the way this game was marketed, that they never like directly even told us like that this was like an RPG game. They always just said in like ads that it was just a big epic adventure and would be like it would have such groundbreaking graphics or like cutscenes in it, which is what they mostly showed. But they never like directly told you like what the game was. And like a lot of people back then, they like picked up a PlayStation just so that they could play this game here because it looked like a pretty awesome game and it's going to be like a memorable adventure, and lo and behold, that is exactly what happened. I remember when I first played this game, it was in the early 2000s though. It was me, my brother, and my uncle that we were in the basement of my grandmother's house. And my uncle brought both like this game as well as Resident Evil 2 as well, and we both played those throughout that night. And like then afterwards, my brother like took the game, and that's like what felt like what we mostly played for years. It felt like. I didn't get into the game until I got older, which is when I got to like the age when I could like understand text and dialogue in games, and I understood like how the game functioned as an RPG as well. Because that first guard scorpion fight, God, I struggled with that all the time. If some of you remember how, if you were pretty young when you first played the game, yeah, that game, that boss fight, like really kind of like confused a lot of us here because of the mistranslated dialogue. I also recall when me and my brother played this game often, this was like the time when we really were getting into like using the internet as like a sort of like a source of like guides for this game, and just looking up information if there was anything else coming out for the game as well. I recall we used like game FAQs quite a lot back then. And it took until, if you remember, back in 2005, I think it was E3 that year, that Square Enix at the time, they released like a tech demo of what the game's opening would look like running on the PlayStation 3. And I still think today that demo does look still pretty good overall. But God, ever since then, the amount of people that just kept on demanding for a remake for this game, because it, if you like play the game, you understand it is such an awesome, memorable adventure. gameplay is still very solid for its turn-based stuff. Like, if you still go back to this game, it still holds up very well, though. I would recommend that you play either like the PC version or the Switch version these days. Mostly the Switch version, because it has like more quality of life features to it compared to every other version out there. But for how long that we've demanded a remake, me and my brother always just pray that one day it would happen. And that for like how epic this adventure was, it is something that has to be passed on for future generations. And until finally, when E3 2015 came around, that is when the remake was revealed that it was going to be a thing. I still remember the day that that trailer went up. When I watched it, I just was bawling in tears that I could not believe they were actually making it. After like a whole decade of us waiting and just demanding every single day for them to make a remake on this game. But yeah, it was, me and my brother, we were so happy when that was revealed. We were so patient just waiting for them to make it, despite like questionable stuff that they announced when during the development of a remake, that it was going to be like multi-part series. But once they like clarified of like what they were doing with it, I was all for it, honestly. So until finally the remake came out, which was during lockdown, during 2020s, that's when COVID hit. Then I recall that I still had to go over to my office, because I had my physical copy, get delivered to my office there, and I had to like go over there and like pick it up when it was delivered. And I was still in the middle of lockdown, and I just played that for like 2 weeks. It felt like straight. I loved it so much. It was everything that I wanted it to be. And I hope it was the same thing for you guys as well, too. That I so look forward to what they keep bringing for like the whole remake saga. For like they announced like stuff like First Soldier, Ever Crisis, which First Soldier was really weird, but nonetheless I was really excited that they are just making more stuff on Final Fantasy VII as a whole, and it's not all like, you know, bad stuff, because I think like First Soldier does have some potential within it, though. But and Ever Crisis, for like every single past thing that they've done with FF7, that they're just basically doing like small like little remakes of them for like for like a more budget type systems to run on that. I thought that was like really cool that they're doing that. I look forward to when that stuff eventually releases. But yeah, that's hard to believe that this game, the original one, 25 years ago, it released to us, and still it holds up so well. I am really interested to hear what you guys have to say about your history with this game, whether if you played it back when it first came out or you picked it up later on. How did you hear about it originally? What drove you to play it? And if you already played like the original game, did the remake live up to what you wanted it to be? Yeah, it's not like the entirety of the original game, of course, but for what we got, though, was it everything you'd hoped it to be? Yeah, please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like I said, I so look forward to what they bring to the table for the remake saga, and I hope more and more people will jump into this one game and this amazing franchise. So yeah, I look forward to hear what you guys have to say on it. So if you like this video, please rate it, share it with your friends, do subscribe for more content like this in the future. Until then, guys, I'll see you next time.